Hello, and welcome to my first attempt at a quick stream. I just wanted to address something that Not So Obvious recently said in his video released today. And I wanted to be able to play it for you, but somehow I can't get the volume to work. It won't actually play the volume or it won't play the audio from the video on my stream. I don't know why. Anyway, Mark, or Not So Obvious, said in his video in talking about the differences between Christianity and Christianity and Islam, that Christianity also has some pretty brutal texts. He said that, for example, even though he would consider himself a Christian, he doesn't believe in stoning children, as is advocated in Scripture. This is something that actually annoys me, has annoyed me for quite a while, because saying Scripture advocates stoning children is the same as saying women get paid less than men. Believe it or not, they're both true, but neither of them mean what you think when you hear it said. So this is Mark's video, which I'm not going to play because, as I said, can't hear the audio. But if you start about about time 7:21, that's where he gives the reference. But let's look at the actual scripture verse that he is referencing. Now, that is the wrong window, pardon. And see, this is my first time. Please excuse me. If we look at the actual scripture, what does it say? If any man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey his father and mother when they chastise him, he will not even listen to them. Then his father and mother shall seize him and bring him out to the elders of the city at the gateway of the home. They shall say to the elders of the city, I'm going to skip ahead. Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death, and you shall remove the evil from your midst, and all Israel will hear of it. Now, why did I skip a piece there? I skipped a piece there because everyone who quotes this passage skips a piece there. It is assumed, oh, this is a stubborn and rebellious son who won't obey his parents, therefore let's stone him. You're missing something there. Kind of like, oh, look, women get paid 15 cents less on the dollar than men. And just stop it there. Okay, when you just stop there, you're missing half the story. Just like the wage gap is based on average earnings of all women compared to average earnings of all men, which means it does not take into account hours worked. It doesn't take into account jobs worked. So the same thing, if you just skip out the center section, you're missing a very important piece of this passage. What does it say? The father and mother shall bring him to the elders at the gateway, and they shall say, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Now, let me ask you something. How many kids do you know that are gluttons and drunkards? Now, granted, in this day and age, in the West, we do have children who are obese. This is, comparatively speaking, new. In history, you go back and you didn't usually find kids weighing 300 and 400 pounds. It happened, but not that often. Drunkard? No, that's not a kid. So what is this? This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. This is talking about an adult son. This is talking about someone that we would in the West call, or we would in the US call a boomerang kid. A kid that you throw him out and he comes right back again. This is an adult child living in the house. This is, or I say child in the loosest sense of the term. This is a son, an adult son who is living in his parents' household or tent or whatever it would be at that time. He is eating their food. He is drinking their wine. He is a glutton and a drunkard. He's not doing anything of value. He is stubborn and rebellious. He's not listening to his parents, and he won't leave. Obviously, he won't leave. That's the type of son that can be stoned. This is not a child who is disobedient. This is an adult. I brought up these as an example. If you search adult children living at home, you're going to see a lot of things. This is a very common problem nowadays. And do we assume that this is a problem that has never existed throughout history? No, I'm sure that this has existed throughout history. I'm sure it's not been as much of a problem throughout history. Well, I say that. I won't say that it hasn't been as much of a problem throughout history. I haven't heard of it being a problem throughout history, but then again, I've never been good at history. Somebody who is good at history should look into that and see. But you'll see, if you search in the UK, I looked at it, adult children living at home in the UK, and you get things like this. What are the laws regarding eviction of adult children from residence in the UK? Is it possible to evict my adult son, from my home, and how do I do it? This is a serious problem. Parents that have adult children living in their homes, not paying rent, not contributing to bills. In this case, he says he pays no rent at all. He makes very little contribution to household bills, etc. He's my younger son. And he says, well, my older son lives with me, also pays no rent, but shares the bills. So this is an issue where you have, this is the ultimate useless eater, if you will, because he's not only eating your food and all of that, there's a guilt manipulation, if you will, because it's your son. Now, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with adult children living at home with permission of their parents, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But just like where they say here, oh, this shocked me when I saw this. AARP has suggestions on parents helping them with adult children. Now, for people outside the USA, I don't know if you have AARP in other nations, but basically it's sort of a club, if you will, for the over 60 crowd. This is basically meant, it's a group meant for people who are retired. They have already worked their whole life and now they're retired. They're ready to just settle down and enjoy retirement. And this is advice for them how to deal with their kids still living at home. And I like some of these rules. 1, your home is not a no free loading zone. Or I'm sorry, your home is a no free loading zone. We don't take freeloaders. 2, doing nothing is not an option. 3, don't expect a hot meal every night. 4, respect the space. 5, leave bad habits at the door. 6, set a deadline. In other words, you can't stay home forever. 7, don't be an ATM machine. You're not just handing out money. And 8, have an exit clause in place. So everybody nowadays, well, I shouldn't say everybody, most people nowadays agree this is an issue and kids need to learn. And I say kids, again, in the loosest sense of the word. Adult children should not be freeloading off of their parents. And if they are living off of their parents for whatever reason, let's say they're in between jobs or they've just graduated, they don't have a job, or downturn in the economy, they can't afford to live on their own. There are so many reasons why an adult child would live with their parents, legitimate reasons. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have an adult child who is perfectly capable of working and just doesn't want to work, who just wants to live at home, wants to get free meals, wants to just play video games and do nothing. And by the way, I play video games. There's nothing wrong with playing video games either. When you have something like this, that's a problem. So when you look at what does the scripture verse actually say, when you read the text of the verse, did I actually close that? I think I closed it. That wasn't good of me. Anyway, but you read the actual text of the verse, it's very clear. It's talking about an adult child living in his parents' homes, will not obey their rules, won't listen to them, is a glutton and a drunkard. Okay? This is not, oh, we need to stone kids who are disobedient. That's not what it says. Anyway, I just wanted to throw this out there. Just a really brief video to kind of start off my YouTube career, if you will. Whoops. Okay, that was a mistake. Anyway, excuse me. This is my first attempt at a YouTube video, or at least a live YouTube video. So please excuse the errors. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Feel free to leave a comment below if you agree, disagree, whatever. And I'm interested in continuing the conversation with you, Mark. Maybe we can have a stream on this later if you disagree with me.